Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Untapped Podcast. My name is Jacob Gabel.
And my name is Jacob Wurtz. Guys, welcome to Season 3, Episode number 7.
Let's go.
Let's go, dude. Guys, if this is your first time joining us for the Untapped Podcast, first of all, welcome and thank you for choosing us to listen to, guys. We actually have 5 main formats of our show. First, and this was our last episode, we have Forging Fortitude episodes. These are probably some of my favorites personally. But in these episodes, we cover the mental side of things, okay? We go over a lot of our anecdotal experiences as far as mindset and mentality go, and we try to pass on as much advice as we can to you guys so that you might be able to take that and apply it to your life. Next, we have physical vitality episodes, okay? You have 2 certified personal trainers here. In those episodes, we talk all about the physical side of things, okay? So we go over the gym, workouts, fitness in general, diet and nutrition in general, and things like outdoor workouts as well because we love those. So that's what we'll cover in those episodes.
Nice, dude. Our final 3 formats, guys. First one is our breaking news format. That is a very current event-based format. It's what you have today. It is how history connects to current events. It's anything going on currently in the world. A lot of times, we talk United States-based just because we are based in the United States, of course,
Sure.
for those of you that are international listeners. And then we also do touch on our opinions on those subjects. And, we kind of discuss whether or not to freak out about this or if it's BS, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, our next format is Knights Table episodes. Those are masculinity-based episodes. They're phenomenal. They're probably my favorite personally. And it is just when we try to build and we aim to build strong, masculine, protector, provider type men that we can inject back into society.
Definitely.
That's our goal there. And our final format is our guest format. Now, those of you that listen to other podcasts, you can probably guess what that is when we sit down with somebody that's a fitness professional, entrepreneur, anybody that brings you value, and we have a great conversation with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then our final thing to introduce is our producer and my brother, Mitchell Gabel.
What's new?
Oh my gosh, that probably sounded rough on the,
I sound good.
on the mic.
I got the headphones on.
that thing's nasally over there.
Yes.
For those of you
yes,
that don't know, Mitchell did have a surgery on his nose. That did not listen to last episode. That thing's a goner. He's Kardashian mode.
He met the Kardashian and was like, oh, shit, I got to get a nose job.
Yeah,
now.
that's exactly how it went,
Yeah.
actually.
I got
Yeah.
a BBL too.
Yeah.
No kidding. That's funny, dude.
That's funny. Yeah, he did.
Yep.
It's
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
It looks good. They
Yeah,
did a good job.
It looks good. It's
That
cool.
that thing, dang it.
Yeah. He took a trip to Dr. Miami.
Cheeked up on a Tuesday.
as young Dolph would say, Dr. Miami trip.
No, that's funny. That's funny. But Mitch
That's
is
great.
back with us. No longer just in spirit, as I made him sound like he was dead in our last episode.
That's so funny you said
It
that.
was
Oh,
funny.
man.
It was funny. But guys, today we have a breaking news episode, and this is a pretty important one that I feel like, or we feel like, isn't being talked about a lot or enough. And this is something that's very, very important. There's a lot of tactics that are being used against us as the American people right now to distract us from real issues, such as this one, because this one is a very, very real issue, and it has to do with immigration, and illegal immigration specifically.
Yep.
And immigration as a whole has really been turned into a race thing, probably since like 2016 when Trump took office. Because he had ideas of building the wall, wanting to build the wall, and people tried to play it as a race thing, and it had absolutely zero to do with race. And it had just more to do with keeping illegal people out of our country. It was nothing against people coming into the country. We just want them to do it legally.
The proper way, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that was turned into a racism topic just makes no sense at all. And obviously, like we know how that all went down with Trump. They tried to find anything and everything to paint him as, racist or misogynist or, whatever.
Yep.
But this episode's not about Trump. It's about immigration. Something that has been turned into fiery. Like I don't know what's the word I'm looking for there.
The way I want to phrase it too is like what a lot of people forget about immigration, and it's obviously it's been a very common thing and a thing that's been going on for a while in the United States. I mean, we've had it pretty much instilled since we became an actual country, because that's the reason how we started.
Sure.
What's interesting too is like even people like Irish Americans at first when they were immigrating over, they were discriminated against, and a lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they could tell if they're Irish American, but that's another conversation.
I would imagine the accent.
Yeah, I would
if they came from
Ireland.
Ireland.
You're right. Yeah. It was definitely the accent, but they were discriminated against as well. And every group in
Asian
history has somehow,
Americans, yeah.
Asian Americans were put in, during World War
Literally
II.
in camps.
They were put in
Yeah.
camps. So
Right.
it's happened to all these groups and then they started comparing, any type of racism. Now the current thing is now this illegal immigration crisis we have going on in our country right now.
Right.
And it's interesting because when they get here, they don't get discriminated against unless the media tells you they do. That's
Sure.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And all that happens is they come here and they work and they live like the rest of Americans. If they do it legally.
Right.
And they're also treated the same as the rest of Americans.
Yeah.
So all that stuff, any type of prejudice against Asian Americans, Irish Americans, any past race that immigrated here or like, whatever, that's not a thing anymore. But they're trying to use that fuel from the past racism.
Mm-hmm.
They're still trying to use that pot to then fuel this conversation about illegal immigration,
Right.
so they can just pump illegals into this country,
Right.
which we know has its negatives, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that race is such a hot button topic right now, it's like we are not in the 60s anymore. Like this stuff was solved. This stuff was solved already when there was actual racism and race problems.
Like actually on the books.
Yeah.
Racist policies were on the books at that point in time. Yes.
No doubt about it.
Exactly.
The current president was a part of some of those big ones.
Yeah.
But
Well,
we're not going to talk about
1994 crime bill, yeah.
that. Exactly.
Anyways, yeah.
Exactly. But the fact that it's being re-brought up now, like most people don't care.
Mhm.
Like, are there still some legitimately racist people out there? Yes.
On any race against any race, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
100%, yeah. And that's just, I don't think people understand that humans are never just going to like solve an issue 100%. Racism is never going to be 100% gone. But is it off the books? Yes.
Exactly. Is there equal opportunity? Yes. Is there equal enforcement of the law? Maybe not. That could be questioned at times.
Sure.
Not just like black people being pulled over, black people being shot. That's not necessarily what I mean, but the laws are a little watered down right now.
Yeah.
They don't apply to
We'll
a lot
definitely
of
have a
people.
crime. We'll definitely have a crime conversation in the future. and
Definitely,
whatnot
because that's
too, but
another relevant topic.
Yes,
one that actually
relates
matters.
somewhat to illegal immigration in a lot of ways.
Sure,
too. Yeah.
absolutely,
Mhm.
because a lot of the people that come over illegally are criminals and are being released from prisons from other countries, and those other countries are sending them to the U.S. to cause havoc on their own dime. But again, no one's talking about that. Like literally, other countries are releasing some of their like most highly targeted criminals from their prisons, sending them to the U.S. border on their own dime.
Well, I mean, the cartel also, smuggles people across the border.
Oh yeah,
That then they can use as sleeper agents, so to speak, or
Right.
or cells of
right,
the cartel
right,
as well. And
right,
again, we don't mention that at all.
right.
Instead, we just say let everybody in instead of having an actual system. And sure, could the system probably be more efficient? I'm sure it could be,
But it has to be thorough.
but it has to be thorough.
Yeah.
100%.
It can't just be like, we're coming from Venezuela, a communist country, let us in. Well, no. Like, we're going to need a little bit more information. We're going to need to, do all the testing and all this stuff.
Right.
You have to learn our laws. You have to learn our Constitution. You have to learn how life works in the United States of America. Then, and only then, should you be allowed to come into the country. Like, Americans can't just move to other countries. You have to go through that process.
Yep.
And each country is different.
A lot of those European countries are very racist, actually, too.
Well, and they want to keep their people or their own people in their borders.
Racism and like the borders conversation. They're very strict on their own borders, which is good.
Yeah.
But they're also, and that we don't talk about, South Korea or China and how racist they can be too.
Sure.
But of course not with the racist conversations. But you're right. It's all about just being secure on your own border and allowing the correct people in.
Right.
And being smart about how you let people in, whether it's even tourists or whether you're giving people green cards, visas, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
It needs to be a filtered, controlled process.
Yeah.
100%.
Because right now, people coming across the southern border are not only coming from Mexico. There are people coming from Eastern Europe. There are people coming from Asia. A lot of military-aged males flooding into our country. You think that's just a coincidence? No, that's an invasion.
Yep. They phrase it as it's all women and children when it's
Right.
not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I heard Dean Stott actually said something about this on one of Andy Frisella's latest episodes. Dean Stott's a former Special Forces guy from Britain. And he said, because on this note of it always being women and children is what they say, in Afghanistan, when that withdrawal happened, all of the men stayed and fought for the country, defended whoever. The women and children were able to get out, and they left. In Ukraine, the men left, and the women and children stayed. And that is all part of a plan to portray it as women and children being slaughtered in Ukraine. And it's just like, wow. Like, that is so messed up. It is so messed up. But anyway, guys, what we want to specifically talk about with immigration, what's going on right now in the United States, is Title 42. And if you haven't heard about it, we're going to go over what it is, why it's ending, and just what it means for the country, essentially. So what is Title 42? Go ahead.
Yeah, Title 42, guys, it is I want to call it Trump-era policy, so to speak.
Well, it's the second time it's been used, but it was used back in the 1900s.
Yeah,
also.
so we're going to dive pretty in depth with this. We literally have definitions up here for you guys, which is great. You can also check this out on Political and Fox News, where we found some of this stuff as well.
We did find a little bit from NBC.
A little bit from NBC as well.
Yeah.
So we kind of went around the bases, so to speak, and kind of looked everywhere for this, just so we get a clear picture. But basically, this, like Wurtz said, it was put in place in 1929 during a meningitis outbreak, and I believe it was Chinese and Philippines, Filipino, I guess I should say, residents. That
ships, I think it was what it was.
Because I believe at the time there was a meningitis outbreak in those areas, but we didn't have a certain issue with it here. We just were like, let's not mess with it here. Now, it was enacted in 2020 when COVID was a thing, as a, again, public health policy, because at the time we thought COVID was dangerous. But
masks work.
Yeah, masks totally work. But at the time it was implemented right around that, they call it Trump era, but it was right at the end of his presidency, and they blame everything about COVID on Trump. But about that time, it basically said, okay, we are going to immensely slow the flow over the border because of the COVID public health policy at this time. Right. So it was to basically, it wasn't to halt immigration from what we read, right?
No,
correct?
It just slowed it down, and it basically, it gives the federal government the authority to take emergency action when there's a communicable disease outbreak. Yeah.
Which I believe the CDC and then the Department of Health and Human Services have a big hand in determining whether or not an emergency is going on.
Right.
Now, we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. So obviously, because of the fact that this is a communicable disease and COVID, spread pretty quickly at the time, it also, because of the fact that it spread quickly, we didn't want, a bunch of people flooding over the border at this time. Now, why Title 42 is a big deal and why, we're even talking about this is because it's actually about to expire. There was a certain, I believe it was a 3-year limit on it, of what it, I believe so anyways, of what they put as like the starting limit of, use of this Title 42 again. And because it's about to expire, we currently have 700,000 total migrants waiting at the border to come in. Now, all this does is once Title 42 expires is it goes back to the former immigration policy.
I believe it was called Title 8.
Yeah, Title 8, which is, I believe, a little bit more loose than what Title 42 had, and that's kind of the idea, and there was less restrictions because of that. So it leaves the concern, guys, of this expiring within the next, little bit of time now. I believe it's the next few weeks or so. Because of that, Mitchell, go ahead. Yeah.
It's just a matter of speed. So Title 4 allows you to expel people way quicker because it's a health emergency. But Title 8, under like normal immigration laws, you could actually like there's punishment. So like if a person enters the country illegally and they're caught, they could face prison time or they're deported, et cetera, et cetera. If they re-enter again, they could be in prison for like 5 years. So with the actual immigration laws now that we're back to normal, quote unquote, which will be in place, I think, on May 11th, I think. This is May 10th we're recording on.
Good timing.
Yeah. So people will face punishment with the normal laws, but it takes a lot longer. So that's why everyone's gathering, because there's going to be a much slower process for them getting expelled out of the country.
Right. Basically, they know that if they come into the country, they hopefully run their chances of not getting caught.
Right.
But if they do, they hopefully run their chances of even, getting away with it at this point in time, because it'll take them however long, and they want to go back to their hellhole country.
Right.
At that point in time is the
Right.
idea of it. Yeah.
Right. Well, and what's crazy about this too, guys, so he mentioned a couple times, it's expiring here. There's a deadline. Title 42 can only end one of two ways. Either the HHS, which you said earlier was the Health and Human Services, has a deadline, or the CDC director can determine when a pandemic or when a health crisis is over, and that'll automatically lift Title 42. And he actually had a quote, and this is the most ridiculous thing, but it's, quote, whichever occurs first. There's just no urgency in that. There's no urgency in that. There's no...
And that was a CDC director's quote, correct?
Yes. And not only no urgency, but there's no, here's what we're going to do to fix it or prevent these 700,000 people from coming over the border all at once.
Yeah.
All at once, because we're going to get into not only the repercussions of this ending, but we're also going to get into what the Texas Governor Abbott, is doing and is not doing to prevent and do his part in preventing illegal immigration. When he likes to talk about it a lot, I mean, he's a very red,
that's like his thing, yeah.
Yeah, very red, very Republican governor in the great state of Texas. But what he's choosing to do right now is it just appears to be a political stunt. And honestly, we can just hop right into that because we just covered what Title 42 is and why it's ending, what that means.
Why it's ending, how that works, yeah.
Guys, again, if you want more information or a deeper dive into what Title 42 is, just do some research on that. But Governor Abbott down in Texas, all they've done so far, again, there's 700,000. 700,000. That's a lot of people. That is a lot of people that are gathering to come across the border. All they have done so far is put barbed wire, and it's about 5 or 6 feet tall. It's like there's like 2 on the ground and then 1 on top of it. Barbed wire going, I don't remember what the span of it was. Was it 3 miles?
It gave details, but it was like an open point in the border.
Yes. It was a point where literally just a few days prior to them putting this barbed wire up, hundreds of people were flooding across. So that's why they put this barbed wire in the specific spot on the border. How that wasn't already fixed, I don't understand that one bit.
We have what? We have Border Patrol agents, we have Special Force Border Patrol agents, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
How do we miss these? Like, do we know these are there and it's just because of how slow our legislative system is? Like, this is brutal, dude.
There's all of that to it. But I also know, and I don't know a ton about the Border Patrol, but I do know that they don't have the ability to do a ton. Like, they can't just shoot people that come across the border, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's not open hunting. It's not open season down there.
It's like that one. There was the one movie, The Hunt, where they were literally just hunting humans like that.
Oh,
like they can't do that type of shit. Yeah.
Hunger Games.
Yeah. Definitely a dark Hunger Games type movie, but it's okay.
But they can't just do that. So I don't really, I mean, I think the videos you always see are just them driving their vehicles, like catching up to people, and then they talk to them, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, and
sometimes they
every
detain
once in
them.
a while I might see them detained and brought in somewhere. Who knows though?
But to my knowledge, the Border Patrol is a bit handcuffed, no pun intended, by the laws of the country and whatnot, and that they can't really do a ton other than basically be an intimidating force. But they're putting the barbed wire in this section. I can't remember how long it was. For some reason, 3 miles is sticking out and 700 feet is sticking out. So, Mitch, if maybe you could look that up real quick in those articles or whatever. But that, and then he said that he was going to send 10,000 troops down, which that's a sizable force, obviously.
Yep.
A lot can be done with 10,000 troops.
Yeah, 100%. How much ground you can cover with that is the biggest thing. Yeah.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Instead, he has sent 1,500. 1,500 to go up against or prevent 700,000. I don't see us winning that. I don't see us preventing a whole lot of that.
Yeah, we could, I guess, just like start shooting, but at some point in time you're going to run out of bullets.
That's like some World War Z shit.
No, that's my first thought,
You know
because
what I mean?
like at some point in time you're just going to get overrun. I mean, granted, I don't know if these migrants are planning to overrun things, but I would imagine if there's 700,000 of them, that's like damn near the same as a show of force.
Power in numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Power in numbers there. But it makes no sense because Abbott, he talks about this a lot and how he's going to take a strong stand against immigration. He's going to protect his state of Texas, and that's great. And you should. And I want you to do that. I'm sure your citizens want you to do that. But why are you not? Why are you not doing your part to finish the wall? Because the wall has been built. It's just not finished.
Yep.
It's being built. I was literally just talking to someone, a teacher in one of the local school districts, and his daughter's husband or cousin's daughter's husband, it doesn't matter, was working on the wall currently, was down in Texas working in the wall. So, like, it's happening, but because Abbott's response has been so minimal and so slow, it's not actually happening, and it's not doing its job. And we have things like this happening. Because Title 42, honestly, it probably should be lifted because we don't have a health crisis going on.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not saying it should have never
Never
been used.
did.
What?
Never did.
Exactly. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
we literally never did.
Exactly, though. And honestly, on that point, that's where some people try to, again, make Trump out as someone that was racist and is like, oh, I'm going to put Title 42 in place so that I can prevent all these people from coming in the country.
It's always something. Yeah.
It is. It is always something.
It's the same thing as a Restrict Act with TikTok. They're acting like it's a TikTok ban when in reality, they're hiding stuff under it. This is what they do with legislation. They hide bullshit under it because they know that we're all going to just bicker and fall for it.
Well, and no one's going to read it.
Exactly. We're going to focus on when it comes to illegal immigration, we're going to focus on the race shit, and then we're going to get distracted by the transgender or gender shit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those two things are top, in my opinion, race and those two things, those are what distract us the most. So they know it's going to take our eye off it.
Unfortunately, with the barbed wire stuff, it's just the classic political theater.
Yes.
There's not really ever going to be a drive to really fully complete the wall because then you'd kind of be without a problem then. And
you're not wrong.
What would politicians do then?
Yes, they would.
So I'd say it's not necessarily. He gets a lot of funds, number one, from the federal government to support the wall. So Texas gets a lot of federal funding.
Yep.
So why would you do that and get your federal funding removed? And then on that point too, the people who suffer are the people who actually live in these areas right next to the border.
Yeah, like El Paso and all that stuff too.
Like Brownsville.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's where all this is happening.
There we go. That's something we could also.
That sounded horrible in my headphones when I breathed in. Sorry.
Just sucking in air over
that was
there.
bad.
Mouth breathing.
The point is until you have citizens in office who actually realize what it is to actually be a citizen in that area, you're going to have the same thing forever. You're not going to have, individuals who may decide to, I don't know, completely force people, not just, we'll detain you and then we'll release, but you will be forcibly removed back to your home country. If you will return, we will imprison you for the rest of your life. I mean, there's no other way around that.
Yeah.
Right there. So I think it's just going to continue to happen. Unfortunately, it's not going to really be resolved.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same way that like Nancy Pelosi denies that there's a homeless problem in San Francisco.
She's such a bimbo. She is an absolute certified bimbo.
Well, and
oh my word, dude.
But it's the exact same play. It's the fact that she denies that there's a homeless problem in her district. Her district is San Francisco. There's a massive homeless problem in the whole state of California.
Everywhere. There's turds, there's needles all in the,
Well, and there's just people everywhere. Like I've seen it in San Diego.
Tents, yeah.
Like,
and that's in San Diego. That's considered a beautiful city.
And it was away from that stuff. It was a beautiful city, and I'd go back. But that was the first time I had really seen like the tent cities and stuff like that. Like that is real.
That's how Denver is now.
It was crazy. It was crazy. Like we have some here in St. Louis. We do. You go to a Cardinals game, you're going to see a few homeless people. Undeniable. There's one guy I've seen every single Cardinals game I've gone to in my life. I'm not even kidding. I don't know if he's actually homeless or if he's just trying to get money.
There's no way.
I swear to God, he's in the same spot. It's the same guy. I can literally picture him right now. But
he can't be homeless. There's no shot.
I don't know. But anyway, it's like denying that there's a homeless problem. It's like denying that there's an immigration problem, And so you're exactly right, Mitch. If they do complete the wall too fast, then his funding is gone. That's actually a really, really good point.
If we literally put up a 50-foot wall along the entire border, like Mitchell said, there would be a zero issue at all. Zero issues whatsoever with immigration.
Right.
Because we could funnel everybody into
as far
one
as illegal immigration.
Illegal immigration.
Yes.
Illegal immigration, yes. Because we could funnel everybody into one location on the border, and that's it.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Scale the 50-foot wall?
If you do that, you're fine to come
Yeah,
in.
you can come on in.
Like,
yeah.
you're a beast. We
Yeah.
want you on our team.
Put you right to
Spider-Man.
special forces. Yeah. Yeah. Call Spider-Man. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But like, I mean, real talk though. Unless they're a World War Z zombie, they're not climbing a wall that's 50 foot tall.
Right.
I think
It's simple.
The big deal here is none of us are against legal immigration.
No, not
The
one
big
bit.
Not even
the
at
big
all.
complaint and the thing that comes to mind with us being in Missouri. I don't know why there's so many of these in Missouri, but all the expired plates, like when people have like the temporary like plate, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
little paper
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
like I see them all the time, and they're literally there's plates that are like 4 years expired,
Yeah.
and that means that person has not paid tax on that vehicle since they got that temporary tag.
Yeah.
So the big complaint here, I guess, with that point being is there's no contribution from illegal immigration, right?
Right.
There's no taxes being paid. There's no.
Well, there's votes for Democrats though.
Yes,
So that's
of
something.
course. Come on, there has to be. But there's no contribution back into society as a whole. You're not supporting
Right.
roads. You're not supporting infrastructure. You're not supporting
Not
any of that.
working.
Exactly, and I
Yeah.
think that's the big complaint and why everyone should be against illegal immigration because it's not supporting society as a whole.
Right.
If you come here legally and you're paying taxes, great. That helps us grow as a country.
Yeah.
That provides money for better roads, which we have horrible roads. We have horrible bridges. We have horrible infrastructure in the U.S. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's sad to say, but there's no way around
No,
it.
it's true though.
So that's why we will always encourage legal immigration because that provides funds for, hypothetically, a decent government to actually engage in those public projects.
Right. Yeah. No, there's no doubt, dude. You're making excellent points there. But going back to your point there, we're not against legal, and it's not a race thing either.
The legal immigrants are actually a lot of the times the most patriotic people there are.
Absolutely,
Because they paid their
appreciate
dues
it.
to get into this
Yeah,
place. Yeah.
right. And a lot of them do escape communist countries like Venezuela
Or Cuba.
or Cuba.
Cuban Americans are like the most based Americans there are.
There are
It's
a lot
ridiculous,
of them. Yeah,
yeah.
especially down in Miami. There's a really, really good community of them down there. There is.
Yep.
But it has nothing to do with racism or not wanting more people in the country or anything like that. But what Mitch is saying, we want productive people in this country. That's a huge part of why we're growing our own business. We want to be productive members of society, and we want to do it our way.
Well, because you've heard stories about how like illegal immigrants, like even around Missouri, will be on like construction sites and stuff like that, and they'll be sending that money back to their families. I'm sure you've heard of stories like that.
Illegal immigrants?
Yes, like actual like a lot of construction and landscaping companies will hire these illegal immigrants they're considered technically over the border illegal still, and they'll just send money back to their families. But again, they're not paying taxes. They're not like, I guess they're sheltered by the company and whatnot. I've never actually met any myself. At least I don't think so, unless I wouldn't have known, I guess. But that's what, to Mitchell's point right there, that type of stuff. Yes, they are working. They might be supporting that guy's company, but again, they're again just sending all that money away back to their country.
And there's still just no morality to that.
Exactly.
And that's another huge part of this country.
Because again, that is what you're basing this around, and it's the legal immigration aspect and how that is a moral way to do it.
Yeah.
Like that is how every single other country in the world works, unless it's like a failed state third world country, of course.
Right.
But that's a different story. But every other country has their borders, like you said, in Europe. Every other country has them in China, in South Korea,
Canada.
Canada's border is actually very strict. Mitchell and I went through it one time when we traveled up there when we were younger. It is actually like pretty in depth.
Yeah.
For a country that, is a bunch of pussies, to put it lightly.
Right.
Like they have a pretty strong border going on. And again, all they have is America bordering it. So it's like, if it's just us bordering it, then it's obviously not a race thing. It's obviously just about having a secure border when it comes down to this stuff.
I can't believe you guys played the sport of Canada.
Dude, I know that. We played both sports of Canada, actually, lacrosse and hockey. Lacrosse originated from the natives up there in Canada.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, we're actually Fidel Trudeau. That's our side name.
Yeah, what is it like? He's Fidel Castro's like son or something like that.
Bro,
It's
he
like
looks exactly like him.
Yeah,
he
it's
does.
wild. Yeah, it's wild.
does.
It's wild.
Oh, they probably sent him up there knowing Trudeau. Trudeau, I don't think Trudeau's a man though. I think he's definitely a woman.
I don't even know what he is.
He's
He's vaccinated though.
Are you sure about that?
No, he definitely is not.
They probably just put water into him or something.
Yeah,
like that,
or
like,
saline or something.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's no way that people in our government are actually vaccinated.
No. You know what's interesting about Mitchell's point though, because he's absolutely so going back to the money funneling with all this stuff and how like problems in our society feed the government money and lobbyists feed government money, that type of stuff. I really am curious if with our current system, if we can actually get anything that needs to be accomplished. Because
As far as immigration,
when it comes to immigration, when it comes to anything, in my opinion, do we move the needle at all?
dude,
On anything?
I don't know. I do think on the ground here, just normal citizens, I do think people are starting to wake up to what's going on. And that's encouraging at least. But, like we said earlier, until it's citizens in the government representing the citizens, it's a government for the people, by the people, of the people. And until we get back to that, we're never going to get anything actually done. We will never, ever get anything done until that happens. And I don't know if that'll ever happen in our lifetime, because that's something that takes a long time. There are a lot of people in the federal government, a lot. And some of them, like the Supreme Court, are on there, are in it for their entire life, So,
or they're 84 years old, like Dianne Feinstein, or however old she is, and she's being wheeled in. Did you see that picture? She's in a wheelchair. Dianne Feinstein, the senator, being wheeled into.
Oh my gosh,
being wheeled
She
in.
looks like Frankenstein, kind of.
oh yikes!
And then Chuck
dude, look,
Chuck Grassley just got reelected for another.
Chuck Grassley's like
6 years.
91, isn't he?
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's great grandpa right
You know what's
there.
crazy? When I
What
was
up,
going up to Iowa State, and when I went to school there for 2 years, I heard people like talk about him and whatnot. And, like, some of the people that were more conservative would laugh at it, but then the people that were on the left would be like, "Why is this guy still in office?" And now I'm like, "Wow, I see why you guys were saying, why is he still in office?"
Yeah.
Because he's 91 fucking years old.
Well, and again,
That's insane.
Look at Biden. I mean, seriously, like, he's not actually the president. Like, he's not actually running anything, obviously. But
Yeah.
and he's just a puppet. But
Chocolate chip.
Dude, that was crazy. Yeah.
everything he does.
What are you eating, Biden? Chocolate chip.
It's something new every week, though. I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Dude, it was a
but
crazy video of him eating ice cream. That's how he responded to the reporter.
Oh,
I'm not kidding.
That's just
Yeah.
horrendous. But see, like, that's the face of our country right now.
That's what the rest of the world thinks of us.
And
in reality,
look at who heads our military.
no duh, people are coming up to the border, bro. They know they can just get in.
Yeah,
They know they can. Those
Right.
700,000, they know they can get in.
right.
We
And-
sent 1,500 people down there
Right.
to like hopefully hold the masses back.
Yeah.
At some point in time, dude, what it's got to be is us citizens.
Exactly. If I'm in Texas, there should be 50,000 to 100,000 citizens on that border, armed, not letting anyone through.
Bro, how many bad MFs are down there?
Dude, the whole state should be.
Exactly. You get a gang of dudes going
You've
down
got
there to hold
Marcus
that border.
Luttrell in your state. Get that dude leading 100,000 people. I think we'll be good. Heck,
I'd
have him
follow
lead.
him.
Have him lead the 1,500. We might win.
Actually, though. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, 4 guys against 300 or whatever.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Right. But I don't know. It's scary. Hopefully nothing happens, but I don't have a lot of faith that nothing's going to happen.
It's so hard to have faith with a lot of that stuff because, it seemed, because I wanted to touch on this because Mitchell brought up Brownsville. Did you see what happened in Brownsville? The mass shooting down there? And then there was also a van. I think I watched the video. I couldn't tell if it was a van. It doesn't matter what car it was, of course. And it ran over like a group of like 7 to 10 migrants or so, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
I heard about this. I didn't see it though.
So
but
I actually dove into both situations, and basically what happened in the Brownsville, it's Brownsville, right? In the shooting, right, Mitchell? Okay, cool. In the Brownsville shooting, this guy, you watch in the video, somebody had a dash cam on. It was horrible. And this guy just pulls his car up, opens his door, and starts spraying at the front of this mall, the front of this shopping center. And it ended up they started trying to target it as white supremacy right off the bat.
Yeah, which is hilarious because you look at the pictures of the dude.
Both the men are Hispanic in these scenarios. Both the men are Hispanic.
Yeah, well,
and they both have cartel connections.
But they're trying to say that it's the same guy. Look at the pictures. Look at the body types. It's not the same person in these pictures they're showing.
We know it's not the same person.
Yeah.
We know it's not.
And neither one is white, like you just said.
Exactly.
Neither one is white.
And all the pictures the mainstream media showed the guy, they whitewashed the photo. They they filtered it to make it look more white.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
just like they did with Joe Rogan.
What is that? What is that, color grading? They pretty much color grade somebody's face.
Yeah, when they made poor Joe look like he was green when he had COVID.
When he took ivermectin and was like, hey, I took ivermectin and
Rogan.
in 30 hours or whatever it was, I'm completely fine. They tried to make him look like a freaking goblin. Like
They made him look like Shrek.
yeah. He does kind of look like Shrek. That's
Dude,
funny.
he does actually look like Shrek. That big ass head of his. Oh man, dude. I gotta ask him how his
Get
head
out
got
me,
that big. Get out me, swamp.
Gosh.
Dude, yeah.
That's actually funny,
I love
though.
how we can just joke about this. This is awesome, dude. Like this makes it so much more bearable to deal with the shit show that is our country.
We can joke about it because we realize how dire of a situation
Yes.
is, and we are confident that we can call it out.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to the money thing. Of course, nothing's going to happen. I wonder why. Let's see where our priorities are. Where have we set up? I don't know, $75 billion in the past year.
I thought it was over 100 now.
It's a lot.
It might be over 100.
What was that place called? Ukraine, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ukraine. I don't know. Whatever, something like that.
Slava, Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter
Yeah. No, that's the
Hunter
point.
Biden's playhouse.
Yeah, no kidding.
So we
Zelensky.
the fact of the matter is until the majority of the population realizes where the government's
Priorities.
priorities are,
Mm,
you're not going to change.
It's with their pockets.
right.
Yeah, you're
Their priorities
It
with their
is.
pockets.
It is.
And that goes for every one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's a 91-year-old senator, Chuck Grassley, and it doesn't matter if it's AOC and she's 28 years old or however
Right.
old she is.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
because the same
It's the
thing.
green.
Yep, all
And-
those citizens of Texas need to vote with their wallets because they're losing money hand over fist.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
number one,
they
they're
are.
probably losing jobs,
And they might be
to-
losing family members too.
Yes, number one, they're going to probably be losing jobs to illegal immigrants. Okay, you're losing money there.
Mm-hmm.
Your roads are getting destroyed because of the massive numbers increasing in your state. Okay, you have to pay more for roads. I mean, take it the DFW metro area, 22 million
Yep.
person metro area, and then you have like turnpikes and toll roads everywhere just to support the roads. So you're already paying taxes, you're already paying tolls.
What's
What are you
next?
just? Are you
And that's in Texas. They market that place as if you don't pay taxes.
because
there
you
pretty
don't have
much.
like a state
Yeah,
tax or something like that.
It's a
But,
state income
but again,
tax. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I was gonna
again,
say
you're
this.
gonna
Yeah.
make it up somewhere else.
Right.
Exactly.
That money
Right.
isn't
Yeah.
just gonna.
It's
appear.
It's bullshit that they argue or like market a state as like this haven of no
Correct.
state income tax or something like that. All the states are about money. Like it's like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
in reality, like at some point in time they got to fund their pockets.
Right. Well, and I mean, you are going to lose more in taxes in other states like New York and California
Yes,
compared to
sure.
Missouri, Texas, and Florida are the big ones
Yeah.
that are truly do have lower taxes.
Yep.
But you're still getting railed.
But again,
Like you're
yeah,
still losing.
that's the point.
We're basically all government workers, if you think about it. We are all basically government
Typically,
workers.
at least 25% of the year.
I mean, yeah, because if you think about it, you're taxed when you get your paycheck, and then let's say you go buy a new car, so then you're taxed when you buy that car,
Mhm.
then you're taxed when you go buy plates, then you're taxed when you buy gas, then you're taxed when you go buy groceries, then you're taxed and you're taxed and you're taxed. You're really losing 50% or more of your income to government taxes. Like no one realizes that. We're basically all government workers.
You know, I wonder how many people actually realize that, because I wonder how many people actually do pay taxes with that. I don't mean like fraud. I mean like if you're in a certain income bracket, I mean you pretty much avoid like the
Well,
poverty bracket and whatnot.
yeah.
You pretty much avoid all the taxes and
yeah,
whatnot.
and there's obviously
So-
tax loopholes, and if you're able to use those, use them.
Well,
Like use that.
yeah, definitely don't tell it to Bezos because he'll keep doing it.
Well,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's there for a reason.
Yes.
Even Trump did it too. All of these wealthy people, a large reason as to why they're wealthy is because they know how to use those tax loopholes. Like, no, I'm
Yep.
creating this money. I'm making this money. I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that. Now, if you're committing fraud or you're doing things, immorally and stuff like
Yep.
that, of course, that's a
Scumbag
different story.
activities. Yeah, it's a
Yes.
different story.
Of course, that's a different story. And with Bezos, why is Amazon still operating at full capacity during what's supposed to be a pandemic?
Mm.
But your locally
Well,
owned store down the road
He,
shut down.
he's got his new girlfriend. He's jacked now, so
I was
it's
gonna say
okay.
he's got Jack.
Yeah,
So,
he is.
Maybe he's based Amazon.
I'm dead, dude. The thing is, though, is like what it really comes down to is, remember what George Washington said. They had to like convince him
I
to
didn't know
run
him.
again.
I didn't know
You
him.
didn't know him personally?
No, I
Huh.
didn't. I didn't
Word.
have the opportunity to
No,
meet him.
I chatted with him, but that's
cool.
okay. But what they literally had to convince him to run for another term,
Yeah.
another 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of politician we want.
Yeah. All of those
That's it.
guys that created those documents at the beginning of our country were all normal
They're all
dudes.
savages.
They're all
Farmers,
farmers, lawyers, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know? Normal people.
Yeah.
Not career politicians.
All high testosterone beasts. Other than the fact they're missing their teeth. That's
because
fair,
they came from a place where they learned where what power does to you when you have it for a long time.
Yeah.
Hence the king.
And that's
AKA the British Empire. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the point we're getting to now. Like earlier you mentioned failed state, third world country. Guys, we're not that far off from that.
Well, we're not that far off from the 1984 George Orwell.
Oh,
book.
we're 100% in that.
Yeah,
we're 100% in that.
We're in the process of building towards that. Like, because I think we're coming to Ministry of Truth level, like with the strict ban now too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, let everybody in and
yeah.
dilute
Surveillance. state,
our
all that.
country by
Right.
bringing a bunch.
Right.
All cultures diluted, surveillance state, etc.
Yeah.
So that's the truth. But if we don't have citizens actually join us in this, and we don't have citizens organized to some level at some point in time, we're not going to change anything.
Yeah.
Like that's the truth of the matter, because like you said, and I think Andy said in his podcast, did you say this without the 100,000 people he said that should be organizing, 100,000 Texan citizens that should be organizing coming over the border?
He either said 100,000 or 200,000. I don't know how. Like that's why I threw out 50 to 100.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's probably a little more likely, if anything.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Like I don't know. There should be more than one. I can tell you that. But I don't know. Like
Yep.
I think we do actually have some Texas listeners, so you guys should gather a bunch of people and go guard the border. And for those of you that are in other states, including here in Missouri, don't think this doesn't affect us here, guys. Okay, because when you walk out of your neighborhood or you walk out of your grocery store and there's 200 people chilling outside of that door, like who knows what might happen to you?
Mm-hmm.
What might happen to your family? What might happen to your community? That's real stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, how can you be of service? Maybe you can ask some Border Patrol agents how you can be of service too, if you know any.
Yeah,
and whatnot.
right.
Those of you that know Border Patrol agents, like, ask them, what can we do?
Right.
Start passing that message on. You don't have to say it's from a Border Patrol agent, of course. Don't dox them and whatnot.
Sure.
But maybe chat with them. The ones of you that do know the Border Patrol agents and whatnot. How can we help get that message out?
Yeah.
So we can at least start having an idea of where we can go from here.
Right.
Because there is hope. There is hope. It's just
there
that
has to be.
There is hope. It's just tough to see it because the media, throws everything on our face.
Sure.
And we see 700,000 people at our border.
Right.
It's pretty scary, but
yeah.
there are steps we can take to continue to generate that hope too.
Yeah. And you can't let the fear of all this, because I get it, guys. Like, it's a lot. It's very stressful. I almost have to like limit myself into looking at all of this type of stuff, because it's just like there is no hope is how it makes you feel. But that's the goal too. That's the goal, is to make you feel like there's no hope so that you don't do anything.
Yep.
What you have to remember and what you have to be willing to do is take action. Take action. Get out of your comfort zone and put your opinions out there and see who else will join you in your opinions and in your action, because I guarantee you, you're not alone. We had to do that. Okay? It took us a little while.
Action.
Yeah. Yeah. It took us a little while to really put our opinions out there as far as the current event stuff goes, because we're like, is anyone going to agree with us? A lot of people
still
do.
Does, dude. It's still a tough battle to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And because so many people think it's so far out or so ridiculous, like, oh, there's no way there's 700,000 people gathering at the port. Yeah, there is.
There's no way there's pedophiles touching kids and they're trying to normalize that. Same thing.
Right. Absolutely.
They make it sound far out purposely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, at the end of all of our episodes, Mitchell will ask us a Q&A question that comes from you guys, the listeners or the viewers. You guys can submit those to our email, which is extricationfitness@gmail.com. You can DM them to us on Instagram. You can text them to us individually. You can talk to us in person. Leave a comment on YouTube, whatever you want to do. But he will always pick one out and ask us a Q&A question.
Yeah.
So, Money Mitch.
So, being honest, this was not a Q&A question from a listener.
Oh, okay.
This was a Q&A question generated by myself, because
I love the way he's talking about this.
because Wurtz was doing a really good job of saying we need hope. And I just felt this way ought to be the whole episode. We were, dropping some big heavy rants because this stuff is stressful and we need to find a way to give people hope. And I think this question can kind of provide that value and give real life things we can do to hopefully improve situations like this, right? So the question goes, What ethical considerations should be taken into account when making decisions about immigration policies? So I'd say give each of you 2 real-world life examples of what the U.S. government as a whole could do to correct some of these issues. Give people ideas, give people suggestions that may fix this problem, what people can do in their own lives, stuff along those.
Now, are you saying, so you're saying in their own lives, but you're not just talking policy here?
No.
Okay, you're not just talking, you're talking like actual steps people can take.
Yes. And I think I wanted to ask this question because I don't want everyone to listen to this episode and think we're just, these horrible negative people. We need to give solutions. We can't just complain about the problem. We have to provide solutions as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, I think first of all, you got to have pride in your country. There's got to be patriotism.
Yeah.
And patriotism has also been something that's been painted as, racist or whatever else. And that is so stupid. That's so stupid. Like, I'll give you a great example in sports. It doesn't matter the sport, but in sports, all of these guys and girls that play for a team here in the U.S., a professional team, are always representing their home country. I'll just use baseball as an example because that's the easy one for me. A lot of Hispanic players in baseball, all levels. I had roommates in college that were from Venezuela. They've got the Venezuelan
they're all
flag.
really good too.
Yeah. They also, they stole some shit from me, and that's been proven.
Oh, damn
it. But anyway, not all Venezuelans are thieves. It was just funny. But they were badass baseball players. There's no doubt. But they have the Venezuelan flag on their gloves. Guys in the big leagues have Venezuelan or Cuban or Dominican flags on their gear and all this stuff. They have pride in their country, and no one bats an eye at it. But anytime someone here in the U.S. has pride about the U.S. or is patriotic about the U.S., they're painted as far right or Trump. You love Trump and you're racist and you must hate all black people and all this other bullshit. And it's just like, no, I just love this freaking flag right here. Like, I love that red, white, and blue.
I love the Constitution.
Yeah.
I love what this country provides.
Absolutely. So I think it's
this badass country.
It's having pride in your country and not being afraid to have pride in your country and to be patriotic. And I don't mean that as your stereotypical, 4th of July shooting fireworks in a tank top, even though that is me every year. I will say that.
Like, I'm all about that too.
I got guns. I got to show them off.
Well,
you know what I mean?
But 196, 10% body fat, no big deal.
Hey, we're not 10% yet.
Yeah.
No. That's cap. That's cap.
You're 10%. Yeah.
But I think that's number one for me. And I think number 2 is, we kind of mentioned this earlier, but voting with your wallet. And is where are you spending your money?
Nice.
Spend your money with local companies in your community, U.S.-based companies, even if that's just apparel. There's several apparel brands that we support, First Form being a big one. But there's other ones, too, that are based in California or based in Texas, based in Omaha, Nebraska.
Origin's another one. I'm about to buy a gi from them.
Origin, yeah. Another, that's Jocko's brand.
They are purely U.S.-based.
Yeah.
Everything they make, everything,
all their jeans,
American
boots,
cotton,
and everything.
whatever, everything there, yeah.
So voting with your dollars, too. So not spending all of your money on Amazon. I get it. Sometimes it's really hard not to order stuff from Amazon.
Sure.
I do use Amazon for a lot, okay? But when I can and when there's stuff that I know I'm going to be using and I want quality, I'm staying here in the U.S., So as much as you can, stay in the U.S. with your dollars.
I like that. That's great, dude. Those are 2 really solid ones. Nationalism is actually another thing with patriotism. Like, that word sounds like, a lot of the times they correlate it with Nazi.
Sure.
Being nationalistic about your country is also a really good
Yeah.
thing. It's very similar to patriotism, of course, but
Yeah.
I think that's another word included in there that can be really used as a positive thing.
Definitely.
My first one I would have to say is surround yourself with like-minded people. Start having these conversations right off the bat. Start having conversations about solutions you can have. Obviously, that's a pretty overarching one, but we're trying to have conversations with you guys through this, but it's always better to have those conversations in person.
Sure.
Because in my opinion, you can always be more productive in person with that type of stuff. So find a group of like-minded people. That's why, again, we even support First Form. And we're friends with a lot of First Form people because they are America-based and they are very much so solution-based and forward-thinking people.
Yeah, and proud of this country.
Yeah. So, and it's the same thing with every other guy that we support that is an American, good American, cares about this country, patriotic. We surround ourselves with those people. Even the men's nights are a good example of that for us. That's important for us to have that type of stuff.
Well, I mean, dude, another staying with the First Form thing, we were at the Supplement Superstore's customer barbecue thing, a couple weekends ago. Look at how it started. They had a huge American flag flying from this huge, badass 18-wheeler tow truck, and they stopped everyone in their tracks, and we did the national anthem right there in the middle of a huge parking lot. Cars driving all the way by. There was a Black Lives Matter protest going on down the road. We stopped
all
everything.
White people.
And, it was all white people doing this Black Lives Matter. It was so.
Yeah,
we talked about it.
Yeah.
We talked about it with Ian Smith. Yes, that Ian Smith.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. What was that?
I don't know. Sorry, I just had a moment, guys.
It's like meeting Taylor Swift or something like that. Sit her fan
8th grade girl.
Bro, no Taylor Swift.
No,
shit,
but anyway,
please.
staying on the point here, the whole thing started with the national anthem outside in this huge parking lot, cars driving by, like that is being proud of the country, things like that, and everyone stopped.
It's awesome.
And hand over the heart, like all of it. It was awesome.
Dude, you and I literally ran up to put our hand over
I know,
our heart so we get a view of the flag.
Because I heard, I was like, dude, we gotta get up there doing the anthem.
Yeah.
Like we gotta get up there.
We're running at full speed, dude. Up there.
And it was
Let me put my hand over my heart.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looked like the cop from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Oh man, that dude was cooking in that scene, absolutely flying in that scene. Dude.
Anyway, number 2 for you. Come on, let's get this rolling.
That was awesome though. Oh
Who
my
gave
gosh.
that guy a mic?
Number 2. I mean, I guess kind of half and half here, but number 2 I was gonna say is also self-educate yourself on this stuff because it is important to, like we mentioned, that we went to Fox News, Politico, and then NBC. That's one way to do it, but you could even go to raw journalism type of sites to do that, like breaking points. I mentioned to you Wurtz before this with Sagar and then Crystal. They're a great unbiased type of show.
Yeah.
You can find journalists that aren't sponsored by establishment media and whatnot that you can search on. The other one, and again, this is purely a big thing for me. I really believe that practicing your Second Amendment is really important. I really do, especially if we were talking about how crime continues to increase and whatnot. A lot of the times border crossings. Like if you're talking actual hands-on protection, practice that Second Amendment. Train with your firearms. Again, Wurtz and I are big, and Mitch for that matter, of course. We're big advocates of the Second Amendment. And if a situation arises where you have to protect your family, have to protect yourself, it's better to have a firearm in that situation, especially with we don't know. Again, like I said, with possible cartel members coming over, we can't vet these people coming over to the border. Right. So of course, we have issues in our own country right now that again we need to handle. But added on top of that is these border crossings that can.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely one of those problems.
Exactly.
No
now, and I'm kind of referring to the crime that stems from this country originally, not just stems from over the border and the cartel and whatnot. But 100%, I think within that, educate yourself. I think educating yourself and training with firearms is extremely important, so you're competent to protect yourself when a scenario arises, or et cetera. And then hopefully you can help train friends as well, and you guys can make sure you guys are all competent, et cetera.
Educating yourself about firearms.
Yes.
Don't just pull up to the gun store. Hey, can I have this pistol? And then
got RPGs.
They give you a high point.
Yeah. And you've never shot a gun before.
It's a dog shit pistol.
Don't do that shit.
Yep.
Right.
Take a class. Go to the range consistently.
Yep.
Be part of the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't just buy a gun and wave it around and say you're good to go.
Right.
Not.
Yeah.
100%.
It's unacceptable if you buy a firearm and you don't actually train with it, and you're not actually well versed in how the firearm works.
Right.
How to take it apart, how to load the thing, etc.
Clean it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of times.
And knowing how to clean it.
Yeah. Because that can be at first when you first learn it, you're like, won't this be annoying? Once you get the hang of it, it's not.
Yeah,
It
it's
really
not so
isn't.
bad. It's
Yeah.
kind of fun, honestly.
Yeah.
Taking it apart, putting it back together.
It feels like it's a productive task, 100%. But in general, guys, being because firearm safety, we're never going to be those people that are shown as not encouraging firearm safety. And it is so important if you're going to purchase a legal firearm that you actually train with it and you're well versed with it, because so you don't end up hurting somebody else, hurting yourself. You actually use the firearm correctly if the scenario calls for it.
Yep.
So yeah,
definitely. Well, guys, this was an action-packed episode. We talked a lot about what's going on here. This is a very, very important topic, very, very important subject here, and really listen to this and then go and do your own research. Like his second point there, educate yourself on this topic, because if you had never heard of Title 42 before, go check us. Go do your own research, figure out what it is, and learn about the situation going on down in Texas. So, guys, please continue sharing the shows. Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music, they all make it super easy to share the show. So please continue doing that, sharing it to your stories. Talk to your friends and family about it. Send it to those people. We want to get more and more people listening to the podcast, listening to our messages. We are continuing to grow, and we love that, and we appreciate that so much, guys. So we want that to continue.
Yeah, remember, guys, Untapped is also on Twitter and YouTube as well. So if you guys are subscribing on there, liking, because the likes help us get in algorithms a ton.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you guys like those videos, that's why Wurtz will go on there, and I'll go on there and actually like the videos on our personal accounts as well to help with that algorithm so you guys can see it.
Yep.
But anytime you guys can do that, even if you like some tweets that we put out and whatnot, whether or not you're on YouTube, you add that comment for, a question, a Q&A, like we said, instead of DMing us if you want. That helps us in those algorithms as well, along with sharing the show.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
No doubt. Guys, until next time, peace and love.
Thanks, guys.